Now to one of the many scandals plaguing the White House these days. Lawmakers calling Attorney General Eric Holder back to the Hill to explain himself. The House Judiciary Committee investigating the Attorney General for perjury after he testified under oath that he had never heard of any potential prosecution of journalists. Of course, we now know he had already signed off on a search warrant naming Fox News reporter James Rosen as a criminal co-conspirator. Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert joins us now. He's a Republican member of the House Judiciary Committee. I should also point out he spent a great deal of time as a judge on the bench, both the state court level and, of course, on, I believe it was the 12th Court of Appeals as well. Congressman, good to see you. Your committee says Holder is being evasive and unresponsive if he fails to appear voluntarily to answer questions about whether he lied. Will you seek to subpoena him, and if he defies that, will you move to vote for contempt?
Yes, we've already found the Attorney General in contempt once, and I think that if the Congress, if the House of Representatives were to find that he was evasive, refused to comply with a subpoena if he doesn't appear voluntarily, then I think 2 subpoenas that were ignored would be time not only to find him in contempt, but to defund a Justice Department until we get justice. A Justice Department where they're as interested in radical Islam terrorists as they are the American public as a whole, particularly a Fox News reporter. They wanted more news about James Rosen than they did about the Fast and Furious whole debacle that got guns to Mexican drug cartels. So we need a Justice Department that believes in justice, and I think it's time, if he does not appear, to answer what appears to be either a lie to Congress or a fraud upon the court. Then it's time for stronger
action. Let me
ask
you about that. Are you convinced that Eric Holder lied under oath on May 15th?
Well, the way that it appears from reading his testimony, and I mean, I was in the hearing, but from reviewing the testimony he gave to our committee and reviewing the facts and the search warrant, the application for warrant he signed off on, either he was committing a fraud upon the court because he had no intention of prosecuting James Rosen. He did not believe that James Rosen should be prosecuted, did not believe he was a flight risk, did not believe he was a co-conspirator who should be prosecuted, or he did believe those things and he lied to Congress. But in either event, it certainly sounds like when he said he never heard of such a thing, that it was not being honest.
Let me have you put your judge hat on here, because you spent a lot of years on the bench. I mean, Holder's position seems to be this, that he never actually went through with prosecuting James Rosen. So, therefore, his testimony, Holder's testimony in front of Congress must be true, your committee. But doesn't that mean, Congressman, that then his affidavit laying out a purported criminal case against Rosen is a false statement by Holder under oath to a judge, and isn't that a crime?
Yeah, it is. You can't just go committing a fraud upon the court, lying to court, because if he was not interested, if he was really not prosecuting James Rosen, Greg, he could have gotten a subpoena. Say, we have probable cause to believe that there's evidence we need, there a crime been committed, and that there may be evidence here. He didn't do that. He didn't say there was evidence that crime had been committed, and here's probable cause why, and laid those facts out. They said this man committed a crime, and so obviously, and they set out the crime. They set out the statute he violated, in their opinion. That is the beginning of a prosecution.
You know, I got to ask you this question.
They didn't have to say those things.
You know, Holder, you know, now claims he's got religion and remorse over the whole thing about going after reporters and so forth. Well, you know, Congressman, it may happen again, and here's why. Fox News is just confirming that the government is likely to open a criminal probe into the NSA leaks. And that means that one of the ways they're going to find out who leaked this stuff, some career intel official, is to try to go after the reporters. So, you know, when Holder says he's not going to do this anymore, do you believe him?
Well, his credibility has been severely hurt. But here again, with Rosen and with the AP, they knew there were only a handful of people in the administration that knew the evidence that got leaked. And instead of going after records that they didn't even need a subpoena for, they went after the AP and all of their numbers. They went after James Rosen, even his parents' emails. So it doesn't look good for the press in the future. And I think it's time for a new Attorney General.
And on the NSA leaks, they're going to go after, one would assume, if past history is present, they're going to go after the Washington Post, the two reporters there that broke the NSA story, as well as the reporter for. Well, Congressman Louie Gohmert.
And the history of the Fast and Furious, history of Fast and Furious, they didn't go after the guys that did it. They went after the guy they think might have received the leak. I mean, that's serious stuff, and we have got to put an end. We need a change.
Congressman Gohmert, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Great to see you, too. Thank you so much.
A bizarre